KC9VKV.
Go ahead, breaking station.
KC9VKV. Well, it's the same thing as a city that can condemn property for the advantage of the city as a whole. You know, they can just condemn property and take it over. You know.
Well, eminent domain used to have very specific purposes. Now, its purpose can be considered as benign as if we take over your property, we'll get more tax revenue from whatever is decided to be put up there, and that's in the public interest. They have taken it to that extreme based upon attorneys reading so much into things. It's the same with the commercial, the clause that they use in the Constitution to give them the right to do everything else they're doing. Mike, did you see where they're doing this thing to a guy in New Hampshire, like a hermit, but he owned a free piece of land that was on an overlook? I mean, a beautiful overlook. And that's where he had his little hut. What they did was they raised the taxes on him. You know, like, instead of playing eminent domain, they raised the taxes on the guy. This is up in New Hampshire, to the point where they knew he couldn't afford it whatsoever. Why? Well, you have a special piece of property that has a view, and that view is worth this much money, and that's why we're taxing you at what we consider to be a fair rate for that view.
That would be exception to the persecution list.
Well, that was done because there was a specific person that was a friend of the council and the mayor that wanted that piece of property to build a nice, large house on the overlook. But he was stifled because this poor hermit-type person had the land instead, and he eked out a living and made his taxes, and because they weren't that much, it was not developed land whatsoever. But why should he have it when a rich person wanted it? W3JMD, so they gave it to the rich person by taxing him off the property.
KC9VKV, we have an area here called the Knobs, and there's a knob road that runs around Skyline Boulevard. And when I was a young man 30 years ago, they were selling plots of land up there, and I was saying, wow, man, it'd be neat to get a plot of land, you know, up here. And so after about 8 years of saving, I approached the guy to buy it, and by then a doctor had bought 3 parcels of land. Life is not always even.
Well, several years ago, when I had the radio show, I used to talk about Stephen Negritz. They did the same thing to him, Jim, in Wisconsin. He had some lakefront property. They wanted it. They jacked up his taxes. He asked questions about it. And they eventually wound up doing a SWAT raid on the guy and accused him of being a paper terrorist because he was asking too many questions about the basis of them raising his taxes. Over.
Okay, yeah. Now, what I've noticed is there's a movement going on in Pennsylvania, and it's starting to take it's starting to get traction in a number of areas, and that is to do away with the property tax completely. In Pennsylvania, no property tax. In other words, you're not going to put an attachment to the property, land, or otherwise for whatever. It's your domain, and I'd like to see that take place across the country and get rid of this onerous movement anybody with enough money can take what you have off of you simply because they can, you know, grease the right palm. And that's America right now. Grease the right palms, and you can screw anybody you want over every which way from Sunday. W3JMD.
Yeah, the big problem with the property tax, in the days when only property owners could vote, there was some control over the level of property tax. But in many communities, like in New York, you have fewer property owners than you do have renters. So the renters can outvote the property owners and transfer the burden for the entire welfare state onto the property taxpayers. That is outrageous. Over.
Roger. Oh, no, that other station that just came in on Skyline Drive that was talking about Skyline Drive or something. What's your call sign, sir? WB2 or W2BHV or something?
Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Her name is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and we're located near Louisville, Kentucky.
All right, KC9VKV. Got it. Thank you.
Roger, Roger. Just heard you guys talking there. Thought I would put my 2.5 cents in there.
No. Good added comments. Thank you. W3JMD. I think you need to direct it to Jim.
The other station, you're right at my noise level. Could somebody relay?
He's asking, what do you think about the Civil War monuments being removed? You know, the stuff that's going on now where the southern states are basically capitulating to the times, you know, the right now, and taking down their heritage, and in some cases destroying it, unfortunately. W3JMD.
Roger. Well, history is constantly being rewritten. Gosh, easy. I don't know. You know, it's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. You know, there are some folks that are on top at certain times that can demand that certain things be done, and there you go.
So you're taking a fatalistic approach on it, Jim?
Well, I mean, realistic, I think.
Okay, you can call it realistic, fatalistic. I'm thinking more of it as fatalistic. It's what is, and you're not going to change it. It's fate. And I'll introduce myself. I'm W3JMD, and my name is Jim also. President QTH is Northwestern New Jersey.
Roger, Jim. I think we've spoken before. I've got a YouTube page, and one of the aspects of that YouTube page is a series called Qso-Vlogs. And I think we've spoken before. I think I entitled that something, the 3 Jims. I don't remember what we talked about, but.
Oh, geez, that probably had KF80D on here also. We call him Possum Jim because there were so many Jims at one point in time on a given frequency that we all had to go by different monikers.
Roger, Roger. Well, if you do a call letter search on YouTube, if you go to YouTube and call letter search Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that should bring up, there's about 50 of them in there right now. We just finished a 280-mile rolling Qso down I-65 on VHF.
Oh, well, this rolling Qso, is it by motorbike or manual power?
This was an 18-wheeler coming out of Nashville, and we did it through repeaters. We started with the Gallatin repeater, came on up through Bonneville, Elizabethtown, in southern Indiana and into North Vernon, Indiana, all the way up to Indianapolis.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No, I don't know why. I was just thinking of a bicycle, and I'm looking at that right now on your page. Jim Ferguson, Qso-Vlog, Jim, KC9VKV, bicycle mobile pick.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, we do a 2-hour stint, try to every morning between 8 and 10. Bicycle on a pedway around a lake. And we have a little bowfang with a pedestal on the handlebars. And we can hit 18 repeaters from the pedway.
Way cool, okay. Way cool.
So, Jim, in there, probably what you could do is do my call letter search and yours. Do both, and it you probably bring you up there. Or probably just do your call letter search.
Oh, I found it. Oh no, I'm on there. Oh shoot, you got me more than once.
I just remember the 3 Jims.
Now you got, it's called Case-Dipole, and then we got VA3ZW, that's Sled Dog. We also call him Snoger. There's a long story behind that one.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, some of those we're using dBx noise reduction on the output of the receiver, and it really takes all the HF trash out of it. Also, we're running minimum RF front end, just into barely into AGC compression, about 1 or 2 dB. So it's really quiet.
Okay. Oh, you got quite a station there. Looks nice. Looks like a professional setup.
Roger. Well, we have our real page is Jim Fergusson's radio story, where we have 550 segments celebrating 50 years of commercial broadcasting.
Way cool. Well, I hesitate to listen to it. You know, listening to myself, it's like, oh no, I said that. Yeah, you said that.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I understand that 3843 is available now.
3843, oh, that was THY, Captain Dave.
Roger, I think they took him down last night.
Are you serious?
That's what I understand.
The FCC bumped him?
That's what I understand.
Oh, man, he was hilarious at times. What did they get him for, yeah?
'Cause they wanted him. I don't know, you know, whatever they say.
True that, whatever they say, but I mean, I didn't agree with the guy on everything, but I'll tell you what, there were times it was like you need a bit of comic relief. Go listen to Captain Dave, and he put a smile on your face.
Yeah, I've got a piece of Captain Dave in there. It was a playback of one of his earlier day transmissions. He had a radio show, I think, and this was from his radio show. It was about some, I forget what it was, land situation up in New York, I think it was. But, you know, Captain Dave had some conditions going on his frequency, and they weren't all weather-related.
Yeah, I'm going to say he did a number of things that skirted the, well, he actually not only pushed the envelope, he went far beyond it at times, but it's like, I don't think the guy had any maliciousness in him in that regard.
No, I thought a lot of those things that he brought up and featured were, really interesting things and needed to be aired. But then again, there were a lot of Vietnam radio tapes, American Forces radio tapes that went on for hours.
Malice in him, so he is somebody I wouldn't have minded was left alone.
Roger, Jim, we doubled there just a little bit. I said, yeah, all things said, though, there were many hours of American Forces radio Vietnam tapes that went on for hours.
Yeah, I remember that. W3JMD.
He had some conditions going on his station you wouldn't believe, man. They weren't all weather related.
Take it, Mike. Are you on your amp, Mike? Holy smokes! I'll tell you what. It's got to be just the way. This is one of those situations where KC9 Jim is not getting you, and he's getting me, but because Jim, KC9VKV, Mike, N2LYM, who I just asked to talk to you, there are places that hear him like 40 over 9, and I'm like, repeat, please. And then it's the opposite at other places. And we're only like 18 miles from each other. Yeah, but I'm going to create a hole.
A lot of it is how your antenna is oriented. If you're running a dipole, if you're running a dipole east and west, you radiate north and south.
Oh, I'm running an illegal dipole, W3JMD.
Hey, now I gave you that one.
I have an illegal dipole.
We didn't define what the antenna was, just a legal antenna.
Because people are like, what are you running? Well, an illegal antenna.
It'd take them a few minutes to figure that.
And it's like they're kind of, why do you call it illegal? Well, the town doesn't approve it.
Yeah, the Gestapo HOA. Mike, what is Mike's location?
I'm sorry, what is what?
What's Mike's location?
He's 18 miles east of me, literally, by the Crow. Maybe 18.8, but who's quibbling there? He's in Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey. I'm in a little place called Hope, New Jersey. I live in Hope. And I remember when I talked to my hometown priest, hadn't seen him in ages. He said, where are you at now? I said, well, I live in Hope, New Jersey. I live in Hope, New Jersey. He said, you live in Hope? I said, yeah, I live in Hope. And he just got a big smile on his face. He says, I wish I had more parishioners that lived in Hope.
Really, really. I could bet Mike that his antenna runs north and south. I could bet that his antenna runs north and south.
Yours is east and west, Mike?
I couldn't copy. Does it run north and south, or east and west?
Mine is north. Wait a minute. North-northwest by south-southeast. So it kind of points probably right directly at you, broadside, which is how a dipole works. Mike's is running east and west, so he's shooting straight up north and straight down south.
Yeah, Roger. And is he running like 500 watts or so?
I'm running right to the limit. 1200. He's running Wolf 100. Wolf 100.
Mike's running 1200?
That's where he's at.
Boy, oh boy.
But he's running north-south, so you might be in one of his mins, that's probably what it is. You're in one of his mins. Because generally we're neck and neck with each other in a lot of places. We're both running the same level. But there are certain places where he's not heard, and there's other places where I'm not heard, but he's heard. So it all depends on how those goofy loads work.
Well, that's true. I've got a place out in San Diego that it's like I've got a direct line to the guy's house. Every time I fire up on a certain frequency, he's there.
I'm looking at, I'm rereading your page, and it's like Jim Ferguson, Qso-Vlog, Jim, W3JMD, JIM-W3JMD, and yourself. It's like Jims of the world. This is funny.
Yeah, that's what I call it. I forgot what I called it.
I was a little bit on the opposite side one night. It happened. I don't care to say it. It happened. And this was back during Iraqi freedom or something like that was going on, if you remember those battles and things.
I'm not sure about that. What were they?
Oh, back when we were, trying to decide on whether we were going to go into Iraq again, and it was Operation Iraqi Freedom, and people were talking about it. That's not the term, but, it was a common term at the time, sandwiers, okay? You remember that term.
Yeah, Roger. I used to follow all that on satellites. They would have the news organizations would have satellite feeds from Riyadh or places like that, and they would have them on all night long, and you could hear the aircraft take off in the morning for bombing runs, and they're just open feeds. So I'm sure the Iraqis knew every time they were about to get bombed because they were copying the ENG feed out of Riyadh or something, and could hear the planes taking off.
Okay, so not being in a sober state of mind, and I just wasn't, and enjoying the atmosphere at the time, and listening to all the stories about the sand beer, I said, well, what do we call Canadians? Would we have a name for them? And nobody came back. I said, how about snow nigger? And I was like, oh shit, I didn't say that. But I did. And like JIM-W3JMD comes back and said, what did you say? And I was like, oh crap. Because he was one of our gang, and he was on the frequency at the time. And so now he actually affectionately takes the moniker of Snoger. And he wanted to rub it in my face.
As I recall, he was coming in pretty good from Canada.
Yeah, I had never used that term on the radio before, and he was totally as surprised as I was that I said it.
Roger. Now, if you're a member of YouTube, you could leave a comment on that if you'd care to.
Anyway, that's what happened, and so he became known as Snoger after that, and that's because, like I said, we had so many Jims on the frequency that you had to have some way of coming up with who was who.
Roger. Now, you could go Jim 1, Jim 2, Jim 3, but that's kind of boring.
Yeah, let's see, because my old call sign was WACMA, I was Jimmy May. The guy down in West Virginia is Awesome Jimmy. He just decided he wanted to be Awesome Jim. He's like a hillbilly and blah, blah, blah. I'm Awesome Jim. Okay. And on and on. So each Jim had his own way of referring to him. So that way the guys on the frequency, if they're going to say, hey, Jim, they wouldn't just say, hey, Jim. They would basically say, hey, Jimmy May, or hey, Possum Jim, or hey Possum, you know, whatever. And then that way the right person can come back to them.
Roger, you know, I've got a way now. If what am I, you know, signal-wise, if I'm giving you something, then I'm curious what Mike's copying my signal as.
Mike, he wants to know you're copying him. Say again, Mike, I'll relay. Okay, Jimmy said talk some more and he'll give you a report. He's on the brand new Anon Apache Anon 80-something hundred Super Apache, which is like the rigged, and he'll give you a report based on what it says, W3JMD.
Roger, Roger, Mike. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Just curious what you're getting on my signal and what Jim's getting on the signal. We'll tell the story there, because I think you're kind of in a RF hole as far as my signal to you and your signal to me. Roger, Roger.
You're saying 3 dB over S9, Mike? Okay, so there you go, Jim. He has you at 3 dB over S9. I have you at 5 dB over S9. Now, Mike, that's interesting. I have him at 5 over, you have him at 3 over. I know that I've got this calibrated right at S9, and it's not deviating too far. Once you get a little bit on either side of it. So when I say 5 over, he's within a dB or so of being 5 over at that point. And yet, if we were to take the reciprocity of transmit and receive, something doesn't jive here. W3JMD. I understand, but then it's like the conditions. Have you looked at the auroral map and the conditions right now? We're in a storm condition right now. We're in geomagnetical storms. We're going to die tomorrow.
I knew that harp was going to screw us up.
Those damn Irish that screw everything up. Harps. Those damn Irish.
They say that the harp transmitter, they can, after they've had it on for a couple of minutes, they can turn the harp transmitter off and they still have a green light heading off into space.
They probably do. I don't know. But, yeah, that's also a nickname for the Irish. Let's see, you're Ferguson. That's Scottish.
Roger. Somewhere back in history, Roger.
Our parents are part of that lineage, and they raised us the way they were raised, or any way, shape, manner, or form the way they were raised. We still got a little of that in us.
You know, and unfortunately today, the kids of today, man, they don't, for some reason, it's like they don't have any background.
I'll tell you what, much as I sometimes think that about my son, sometimes think it, on St. Patty's Day, he's got the green shirt on that basically lets everyone know I'm Irish, period.
Roger, Roger. All right, that's a good sign, man.
Do I tell him he has to do that? No. I don't even mention it one way or the other. He stole my dang shirt, actually. That's the way he's bigger than me. But, I mean, who's going to argue with somebody who's 6'3"? He looks down on most of the rest of his class.
Roger, Roger. Well, he's got the upper hand there for sure.
Yeah, except that what you would call him is basically the tame giant in that regard. Actually, probably taller than that. That was the last time I measured him about 6 months ago, and I know he might still be growing. So, I don't know if he's pushing 6'4" yet. He's big. Anyway, He's a gentle giant, that's it. He wouldn't hurt anybody. But is he strong? Yeah, he's very strong, which is actually a good set of attributes to have because he comes off as very friendly and doesn't impose himself on anyone. And it's like, wow, you're doing better than your old man.
Well, right now, see, conditions just picked up about 10 dB on your last transmission, about 10 dB.
Hopefully you'll hear Mike, and I'll stop babbling. I need to stop babbling. Also, I don't know if Al wants to basically make a comment or not, and I'll kind of sit back for a moment. W3JMD. I'm a little bit too quick on the push to talk.
The blobulator is on.
Hey, Mike, after about 2-3 beers, the Blavatron goes right into full effect, and I'm going to sit back, and I want to sit back and just enjoy some people's conversation and listen. W3JMD.
Mike, we need to do something with about 300 miles to change the radiation pattern somewhat, so we could probably copy the mail better between us. I think it might be as little as 18 miles, you know. If I were 18 miles closer to you or 18 miles further away, I'd probably have a 10 over on you.
I'm not sure. Mike, you might be alien polarized, and that's probably what's causing this. Never mind. I was going to say you're differently polarized.
I think that's a legal term, isn't it?
I said anally polarized. You're right, circularly polarized. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
What do you say?
Something about right polarization.
Oh, right. Well, you know, they have circular polarization now. DirecTV and all those guys use circular polarization. And I'm sure they're using left-hand and right-hand circular polarization so they can get two signals on one frequency.
In the old days, it was like vertical and horizontal polarization. I do remember that. However, what they found was going through the atmosphere at times and everything, there were shifts occurring, and things were getting a bit mixed. So by going to circular polarization, they found that that didn't get screwed up except on reflection, and the reflection only occurred when it hit some object that it bounced back from, and that wasn't affecting them or the receiving dish.
Yeah, I'm not real sure, but you know, vertical and horizontal polarization was the standard for the industry for a long time, and there was so much isolation between vertical and horizontal that they just normally ran two different programs, one vertical, one horizontal, on the same transponder frequency.
That's true. But what they were finding is that there were certain conditions that existed in the atmosphere which would start to rotate the polarization, change it. And so you got a mix occurring, and they didn't get the isolation in dB that they once thought they had, depending on conditions. However, when they went circular, they eliminated that whole problem.
Well, you guys, I'm going to say threes, jump on out here and see if I can get some shut-eye. You guys are sounding good down this way. KC9VKV will be clear on your final.
KC9VKV. I hope we're not on tonight. I hope you don't make a YouTube video of us tonight. Oh man, my son will listen to it in years from now and go, Dad, you say that stuff? I'm like, oh man. No, that was somebody that sounded like me, son. W3JMD. Take care. 7-3, Jim. Yeah, you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Have a great Memorial Day. Please, W3JMD.
Roger, Jim. Threes to you and Mike. Mike, catch you later. It's KC9VKV. We clear.